Okay. Hello everyone, it's Warriors NRL Fanatics here. Welcome back to another preview. Again, I've got a special guest as well joining me from the All Things Bulldogs YouTube channel. Actually, he's only been around for a bit now. He's only just started off, but his name is Mick. It's great to have you on the channel tonight, joining me to preview the New Zealand Warriors versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs match this Sunday afternoon.
Thank you so much, Christian. A real pleasure to be on here and talk about what I'm most passionate about, and that's the doggies. So thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. It's great to have you on. So I'm just saying hello to the people in the chat here. So it's great to have you guys joining us. And Jacko here is here. So hello, Mr. Fanatics. How's it going, Jacko here? But yeah, Mick, why don't you introduce yourself and how you became a Bulldogs fan and where you're based and, all that stuff. Just tell all the viewers all about yourself and, your YouTube channel as well.
No dramas. So, I'm about 45 years old, something like that. I'm from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. So most Bulldogs fans will know where that is because it's where the great Mortimer brothers are from. So I actually have family members that went to school with the Mortimers and my mum was a diehard Bulldogs fan from a young age as well, a Berries fan actually, and and the colours were all around me from the moment I was born. So really passionate, proud Bulldog supporter, even though it's been a very tough period of time. Some good signs ahead. Currently living in sunny Queensland with the two-headed people, as you are yourself, and Wagga's actually very similar actually, I can't wait. I will get down to Belmore in round 20 to watch the Broncos in New South Wales instead of watching Bulldogs versus Broncos up here every year. So, that's a little bit about me. Channel's only been going for a bit, just a way for me to voice my opinion on things, and it seems to be going really good, getting lots of interaction. So, yes.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So you're based in Queensland, I see. So same as me, I'm based here in the Gold Coast here. So obviously, you got Magic Round this year in Brisbane. So are you going to be attending that one this year, Magic Round?
Yeah, I'll attend Magic Round and also the Titans game later in the year. So I might even see. I don't know if you'll be going to the Titans game, but I will be going to the Gold Coast later in the year to see the Titans game and Magic Round. I think we're playing the Raiders, again.
Yep.
I can't quite remember. I think it's the Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, so how long, Mick, have you been a Bulldogs fan? Did you support them as a kid, and what is your favourite memory as a Bulldogs fan that you've watched?
Okay, well, there's plenty of memories, but I've been a Bulldogs fan ever since I can remember, so from 79, something like that. I remember, 84 is the biggest memory, sitting there because I've got a sister who goes for the Eels and, and her whole family went for Eels and we were there watching the grand final in 84. And me and me mum were pretty well outnumbered, but the doggies got the win, 6-4. And just watching, Peter Mortimer and Steve Mortimer, Chris Mortimer, they were just my heroes. Terry Lamb, the whole team, you can go through it. Mick Potter, who's now coaching with the Bulldogs, only played to win 2 Daily M's. Lots of great memories, too many to sort of share. You got the Steve Gearin try off the Greg Bretnell kick in 1980. I think I remember that, but you've seen it so many times on the TV. The Entertainers. Yeah, lots of great memories, but we want to start creating some new ones. It's been way too long for the Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, as a Bulldogs fan, obviously, when the Bulldogs were good, like in the past couple of years. Steve Price as well, I think, was one of my favourite players. He used to play for the Bulldogs and play for the Warriors
Yep.
as well, and represented Queensland and Australia. So,
Great man.
Yeah, he was a great player. But who was your favourite player you idolised growing up, like in terms of a legend, a player that you thought?
It started off with Steve Mortimer.
Yep.
I remember my brother took me to Roselands in Sydney, where they had an athlete's foot. I'm pretty sure it was like one of the first ones. I think it was anyway. It was at Roselands, and I think in Bankstown, and he took me there. And Chris Mortimer was there. It was the year after they won in 1988, and Chris has given me a shirt from the Premiership against the Tigers. It was a Premiership shirt. And he's signing it, and apparently, I could see Steve Mortimer in his bigger brother, and all I wanted to do was talk to Steve because I just idolised what he used to do on the football field, and and I still do. Like, one of the greats. Terry Lamb's another one that we still get to see him a lot. He still helps out the club a lot. And Steve's unfortunately going through those the health issues and stuff. But he was definitely my greatest player. And Stephen Folkes is another one too, probably the greatest Bulldog when you look at what he's achieved as a player and coach.
Yep. Well said there. Yep. And what about currently now? Like, who's a player that you like to watch? Like, there's obviously you got Josh Adokar there. He's come over from the Storm as well, and got Jacob Perez as well. But who's the current player that you like to watch right now at the Bulldogs?
Look, I really like a lot of the players that they've assembled, based on the way they go about things in effort. Josh Adokar, love what he's brought to the club on and off the field. Just so much happiness, especially to the kids in that. And just watching, he's just a pleasure to watch. Jacob Perez, from the first 40 minutes when he debuted against the Broncos, we had COVID ravage us. He's a kid who put it on the line to come back to the Dogs on a train and trial. And what he showed in that first 40 minutes, that's where our fortune started to change as a club. From that moment, I think that's the moment I see where he just started to lead the way, and Jacob Perez has quickly become mine and probably 90% of the Bulldogs fans' favourite player. He's just an absolute pleasure to watch, and I've yet to see him have a bad game. And he hasn't played that many, but he puts the pressure on himself and just goes hard at it, and we just love to watch him. Absolute champion.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the Bulldogs currently at the moment? Like, just, with the signings you made in the off-season especially, and with the involvement of Gus Gould at the club now, what is your thoughts on the direction of your club, moving into the future and to right now?
Well, look, it's been a long process to get here, and Doggies fans we're impatient. We want to get back to the top. We want to get there right now, and it's hard. We've been hearing about trust the process. It's going to take time. They've got to take time to gel. And to be fair, that's just the reality for the Dogs right now. We have hope. We've had hope a lot at the end of seasons over the last 5 or 6 years, where we've sort of been out of contention and had a good run. Probably 2020, 21, it was terrible. We hit our bottom, and then we got to see some good signings. Matty Burton, Gus comes back to the club after that. And we saw the signing of Reid Marnie, probably a top 3 hooker in the game, and still very young and still a lot of improvement in him. And just, he come back to the Bulldogs, Sunshine Coast boy, who left in SG Ball, was told he wasn't good enough, was let go. He's come back to the club. So excited about him. His pass off the deck is amazing. And I still don't think he's hit his straps yet. Our spine is yet to get anywhere near where it needs to get. But they're all doing pretty well, like probably exceeding expectations for me at this point. But in saying that, it's still a long way to go. Bill Kickow, his last 2 seasons have been phenomenal for the Panthers. Just the way if you go watch the Panthers versus Bulldogs last year, the way he played when all his teammates were out in Origin, won them the game. And that sort of effort player is what we're seeing at the Bulldogs now, and that's where it's all about effort. With Jacob Carraz. Gus, essentially everyone off contract's out of the team, so people off contract this year have, they've got to take their opportunities or they won't be in the team in 24. That's pretty obvious, the way things have been going. But that can bring out the best in some of your players as well. It's, that off-contract players can go to another level. And that's what we're hoping for, because I think the Dogs, if they believe in themselves and stay in the grind and continually develop, can be there amongst a whole group of teams sort of fighting from, say, 7th to 13th spot. But there's no disillusions. This is probably the closest comp on paper I've seen for a very, very long time, especially the top 17. Injuries will shape how it unfolds as usual. But, yeah, I'm quietly confident we can do well, but I think we're going to have a few tough periods before then. And I think our season starts this week against the Warriors, to be honest, in the toughest test.
Yeah, well said there. And what is your thoughts on Cameron Ciraldo so far? Like when he was appointed the coach of the Bulldogs, did it come as a surprise to you that they went with someone like him who's a rookie coach, or were you expecting, just him to come on board?
I was privately very critical of the 5-year deal. Once there was pictures of Laundy at one of Laundy's pubs, he's got hundreds, and Gus was in denial about talking to him and stuff. Gus says and does what he's got to do. We all know that. We don't worry about that. I personally wanted to go with Mick Potter because I could see a big change in the way he was backing the team to take a few risks and then letting them know it was all right to make mistakes. And I think that sort of message has been reinforced under the Ciraldo. If you watch the Kennel episodes, they're fantastic. 5 great episodes. And Ciraldo I think he has a lot of potential as a coach. I think it is going to take some time though. Like, I can see definitely areas that he's had an influence on, more so in the defence. I think the way that we've engaged in the wrestle and slowed the ruck has really helped our edges for longer periods of the game. We've slowed a lot of play the balls down, but as we've become fatigued in our forwards, it's sort of we've started to open up later in matches. That's been a common theme, and it has been for a while. I think he's got the right people around him. I think Travis Tuma, the health and fitness coach, is the best in the business. Bringing him on board was a great signing for us because fitness has been one of our issues. And, I don't know much about Chad Randall, but Mick Potter, he's one of my favourite players, people, coaches. And, I think he's got his hands all over the attack at the moment, and that's one of our positive signs. We haven't scored 11 tries in the first 3 games for a very long time. And we only got 1 in the first game. So it's, good signs for Cameron Ciraldo. I wasn't happy with that he left a fresh player on the bench in 40-degree heat at Belmore the other day, and many fans weren't happy about that. Yep. I think, you can look at it. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. Maybe it was to test the resilience of the players out there, I just felt that I wasn't sure what message he was sending to Auckland and even young Jaden Tanner, who only played 12 minutes. But, that's just a bit of constructive criticism from me. Cameron Ciraldo knows a lot more about rugby league than I do, and I trust he's going to be the Bulldogs coach for quite a while.
Yeah,
and
and
do it with them.
on you mentioned Mick Potter actually. Mick Potter actually, he did a good job for the Bulldogs at that back end of last year. It was, I think it was last year.
Yep.
He came in as a coach, as a caretaker coach, and I think regards to I thought the Bulldogs improved when he came on board. So yeah, I was actually wondering if he was going to stay on board this year, and you're saying that he is still on board with the club, actually. So but it's good
Yeah.
to see that the Bulldogs have still kept him on board.
Yeah, he's the attacking coach,
Yeah,
attacking assistant coach, and yeah, definitely a lot of things that they're doing. Having a smaller forward pack, which we had that a lot last year. Moving the ball all around, and much quicker through the ball and early ball to the edges, and involving lots of people, lots of offloads, firing lots of shots at the opposition. That was Mick Potter had a lot to do with that. Same with Craig Sandercock, also had a lot to do with that as well. He's just been given the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership side coaching position, so he will. We're hoping to have a team in that comp by 2025, and they're doing really, really well. The Dogs are going great in all grades, to be honest. It's been and Gus and lots of people have had put in a lot of hard work to make that happen. So with the pathways and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people say that with the Bulldogs, they've gone and signed a lot of the Penrith players, and people say, oh, you're stealing a lot of the Penrith players and that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Actually, so a lot of people have high opinions on the fact that the Bulldogs are going and taking a lot of the Panthers players, but you can only do that. But.
I'll set people straight with that straight away, and I have those little battles with Penrith fans on Twitter and a couple of mates. We've only poached one Penrith player, and that was Matt Burton. Burton, and losing Isaiah Katoa to the Dolphins, that's what's hurt the Panthers. Gus Gould has a great relationship still with the Penrith Panthers, and what people need to understand is that the media is utilised to sell newspapers, which then go back to fund the game of rugby league. So it's a lot of drama that's talked about isn't always as bad as it seems. That's how I'll say it. Viliami Kikau was told that they couldn't, as the way their system works, and if you watch with how Crichton's moved out, how I think I keep forgetting his name. The guy who's coming to the centres for Penrith, Taylor May, has come in. Is it Moga? He's now the Stephen Crichton. They've also got Taruva, Iongi, who are going to be the backup fullbacks for Dylan Edwards. And Dylan Edwards was probably going to be moved on, and Crichton was supposed to place him, but Dylan Edwards has been turned into probably in the top 2 or 3 fullbacks in the game now. So the way their system works is that their players, they just can't afford to keep them, and they have to move them on. And Stephen Crichton's no exception. Viliami Kikau, he went and had a meeting with Gus because he was told to, and he was signed like within the next day. And then there was that leaked footage of him and the picture of him. Brent Naden was told to leave by their club. He come to the Dogs from Penrith. Trent Barrett wanted a coaching gig, and had really good reps and did well. Didn't work out with us as a full-time coach. Serrato's obviously, Gus wanted to employ him as the coach before they brought Cleary back. So he's done a very long apprenticeship. And there may be more players to come through that system. Jaden Tanner, I'm pretty sure, went and spent a couple of years in New South Wales Cup with Penrith as well. So, Penrith have the biggest nursery in New South Wales. So, and they've got 3 or 4 players that could play first grade in every position. The Dogs nursery is probably not even half as big, which is why Gus has had to go out and explore pathways on the north coast of New South Wales, Toowoomba, Bundaberg, all those areas. So, yes.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So, yeah, why don't we get into the old meet and greet of this is the preview. So, we're going to go through the preview and give our thoughts as well, key players. And, Mick, why don't you go through the Bulldogs lineup for this week's game?
Yeah, too easy, Christian. So we've got Hayes Perham at fullback. On the left wing, Jacob Carraz. Right wing, Jacob Carraz. Get that wrong. Jake Avarillo at right centre. Alamotti and Josh Addo-Carr on the left. Matty Burton and Kyle Flanagan in the halves. Matty Burton co-captain with Reid Marnie. Max King and Ryan Sutton, the front row, with Reid Marnie at hooker. Kickout on the left, Jacob Preston on the right edge, and Big Ray Fatala Mariner at lock. It's pretty much an unchanged lineup. They've got Ockenball there as the utility at number 14, Corey Waddell, Jaden Tanner, and Anu Brown, who's been utilised as a middle and a lock this year, which is a similar sort of way to Dylan Walker, the way he's been played. And Walker's been phenomenal. The extended bench is Braden Burns, Josh Reynolds, Carl Olawapu, Jackson Tapine, and Curtis Moran. So just with our side, we've got 5 middles out, so they've had to bring Tanner in under dispensation out of the top 30. Curtis Moran would be in a similar situation. Now, Franklin Pele hasn't been named. Apparently, I don't take this verbatim, but Gus said on Twitter that he was sick. Apparently, he's got some sort of infection and he hasn't been cleared. I don't know if he'll be a late inclusion and go on the plane. And I've just heard a rumour, and I hope it's not true, that Max King was in a moon boot. But, I don't like feeding rumours. But it's on a couple of Facebook pages, and, so that's not good for us because he's been our best front rower and best middle by far. And, that's not good for the Dogs if he's out, because we're down already down to Vita Pangai and Luke Thompson. There's $2 million worth of salary cap on the bench right there.
Yep, all right. So, I'll go through the home side now. So the Warriors playing at home for the first time this year, counting because the first game in New Zealand was at Wellington, so this is actually home game in Auckland. So got some ins this week actually. So Chance Neal-Klukstad's back in the fullback spot there for Tane Tuapiki. Edward Cozy on the wing there, and Viliami Valia in the centres with Adam Pompey. Marcelo Montoya coming up against his former side in the Bulldogs. He's on the wing. And you got the halves of Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson there. So Fanua Blake is the prop, and Fanua Blake. And coming into the hooker spot this week for Wade Egan, who's unfortunately out due to the HIA 11-day stand down. So he's not been able to play this week. And Freed Lustig's in that hooker spot there. So you got Bunty Fire prop. Jackson Ford also returns to the second row this week. So it's great to have him back there. Murata Niokore also in the second row, and Tohu Harris, the skipper, at lock. So the bench is Dylan Walker, Bailey Cernan, Jazz Tavanga, and Tom Ale, and the reserves are Josh Curran, Tane Tuapiki, Ronald Volkman, Rocco Berry, and Dimitri Safakula. So those are the teams there. So Mick, what are your thoughts on your side, the Bulldogs, and what are your thoughts on the opposition, the Warriors?
Well, we're obviously, I don't want to make too many excuses, but we're obviously undermanned in the middle, and Sutton and King and Big Ray and the interchange have done a really fantastic job to hold up the middle as much as they had. Kikau's getting a lot fitter now, so his effort plays, especially in defence, are very, very important on that edge, and Alamotti relies on him a lot with his communication. A lot of improving players in our side that have probably exceeded some of my expectations, but obviously Hayes Perham, an ex-Warrior as a kid who was supposed to be the next big thing, he's starting to really look like a fullback. Like, I'm a huge Jake Avarillo fan, but Hayes Perham has that build of a fullback that can build his legs and run a long way and help out that middle and really cause some trouble. And he looks like he's prepared to do the work, goes all right under the high ball. yeah, I'm liking Hayes, doing a really good job, starting to make a couple of line breaks, got his try. Jacob Carraz, best, as I talked about him earlier. Paul Alamotti, another one that's had a fantastic game last week and can do some great stuff. And then there's all the normal players. I think Flanagan's defence has been fantastic for us. He's already made about 5 try-saving tackles. One of the smallest guys on the field and puts hits on. Like, really, really impressed with his defence. Reid Marty's leading really well. And Jacob Preston, couple of people knew how good this kid was. I thought he'd be 2024. He's really impressed me a lot, and the whole Dogs fan base is in love with this kid. And you just got to watch him to see why. Our bench worries me. I think I've got a feeling there may be some changes to our bench come Saturday. I think Tapine might be a big chance of playing. These are just my thoughts. I have no intel whatsoever. There'll be little whispers about Carl Oluwapu coming through every week. And, yeah, maybe Josh Reynolds. But it'll be interesting to see who goes on the plane. I think they will take all those players with them and they'll contribute. With the Warriors, I'm really interested to see the battle between Marcelo Montoya, the Chilean Warrior, and Jacob Carraz. Carraz is first in run meters and Marcelo's third. Now, Montoya, written off by a lot of fans of the Dogs. He got blamed for, he came back from that terrible injury and lost a bit of speed and a bit of confidence and was in a team not playing well. He's back to full confidence now and he hits hard. When he runs into that line, you hear the noise. He's been playing really, really well, and I'm looking forward to that battle between those. It's rare that you have 2 wingers coming up against each other that are playing so well and sort of both putting in 100% effort, if not more. Sean Johnson is really playing well off the strategy of the Warriors side. Really good through the middle. They're going to try and break the Bulldogs through the middle, and then once we tie, break us down out wide. I think Carraz and Avarillo are going to be under a lot of pressure from Pompey and Montoya. Tamari Martin is another big player for the Warriors. He coming in for the Broncos last year with Adam Reynolds was huge for the Broncos. I think that's understated. And Chance Nickel-Klokstad has started off really well. And we saw how good he was with the Raiders a couple of years ago when they made the grand final. Him coming back will be a big boost for your guys. I think losing Wade Egan, though, that could be a big opportunity for the Dogs. Freddie Lussig's from a good system at the Roosters, so he can play. But and obviously Nakore and Tohu Harris from the Storm previously, he's been one of the Warriors' best week in, week out. And then Dylan Walker's been coming on doing his thing as well. So sorry, I'm really worried about the Warriors. I was looking through your stats, and you guys are leading the competition in most stats.
Yeah.
So very impressive.
Yeah. So looking into the key matchups now. So what matchup are you looking forward to? Or you're looking out for on the field in regards to like a battle in position wise?
Yeah, well, I jumped the gun and talked about Montoya and
all good.
and Carraz. I think we're going to see. I think Kickow and Preston on those edges we're going to see some clashes out wide with Ford and Nakore, because Ford's been in really good form since coming there. I think he wasn't a big name signing, but I think he's done really well in the time he's played. Been very impressive. Obviously, I think the way that they use the way the benches get used is going to be huge. But as far as, I think the clash of the halves, Martin and Johnson, who, Johnson's already had 5 line break assists, way in front of anyone else. And the Warriors lead line breaks they've done 19. I think the Dogs have done about 11. So, yeah, the clash of the halves is going to be big as well. And teams are actually playing pretty similar. The back lines, the back five, are doing a lot of the work and taking a bit of that, giving their forwards more energy to sort of do more in defence. And I think that's really, really important in how they're both playing and getting up the field. And it's whoever can win that battle and slow down that play the ball is going to go a long way to winning the match.
Yeah, look, for me, I'd probably say that the four-pack battle could be very interesting, actually. You got Adam Fanua-Blake. You said to me that Max King is a bit of a concern at the moment, but if he's fit and if he's playing, or if he does play on the weekend, he's a key player for you guys in the four-pack as well. And the hookers battle as well, especially Reed Marnie up against Freddie Lussick. So, Reed Marnie, obviously, big loss for the Parramatta Eels, losing him, but he's come to the Bulldogs, and, he's a very good signing as well. And Freddie Lussick's coming in for Wade Egan, and Wade Egan's a massive blow for us. So I think that's the only bit of a concern I have for us, is that hooker spot. But I think Freddie Lussick's a solid player. I think he does the job pretty well. But Egan, for me, is a massive out, because first couple of rounds he's been very strong as well, and he's in try scoring form as well, especially. So yeah,
3 tries, 3 line breaks. So yeah,
exactly. But having as well C&K back fullback's great. I thought Tane Tuipiki was good last week in his debut, but obviously it was always going to be the case that C&K would get back into this team. So then you've got as well Jackson Ford, which I thought Jackson Ford was very strong in the preseason, especially in the trials before, not being able to play last week. So I think even though we've lost Mitchell Barnett, which I think is another big blow for us, I think having Jackson Ford come in is a good in for us. But yeah, what is your thoughts on that in regards to, Mitchell Barnett? We've got Wade Egan now. Do you think that gives the Bulldogs more of a chance, or do you think the Warriors, should still be very strong?
Well, obviously the Warriors will have their system in place, and nothing will sort of change the way you'll find Lussick will try to replicate what Egan does. But obviously the quality of ball may be an issue, because Egan's been obviously working hard at that for a couple of years now. And that could have an effect on things. There could be some mistakes. Lussick probably not as experienced. And coming up against Reed Marnie, it's going to be a big deal for him. Marnie being the captain as well. But obviously being at Mount Smart and in front of the home crowd for the first time this year, it can work for you. Sometimes it can work against you as well. Yeah. Jackson Ford, as I said before, playing above probably what you would have expected out of him. He's probably gone to another level, and the players the quality around him. When you look around, you got Adam Fanua-Blake, who's a mountain who can just offload anytime he feels like it. Bunny Afoa gets in there and he gets on a roll of his run. And then you've got, Nakore was a huge signing. He come from Parramatta, didn't he? Yeah. So he's still getting into his groove as well. And obviously Tohu Harris makes a heap of tackles, makes a heap of runs. Consistently your best player in that forward pack. So I really like the battle of the edges, and how but it's going to come down to how that middle holds up. And I'm expecting the Warriors are going to just try and roll through that middle, and we'll see a lot of dummy half runs, and then we'll see Sean Johnson and Martin running a lot. If that's the case, they've been stripping teams of numbers really easily, probably better than any team in the comp so far. And that's big worrying signs for the Dogs. We're going to have to. We've done well slowing teams down for long periods of the game, but when it's opened up bad. So that's our concern from like the 50-minute mark to the 70-minute mark. We've been pretty shocking in every game this year, and that's where we must improve. So.
Yeah. On that, regards to your side, you got Viliami kick out as well. You got Raymond Fatala Mariner as well. So kick out especially coming from the Panthers. What are your thoughts so far on kick out start to the season? I know it's only a couple games in, but what are your thoughts on kick out's performances so far?
If you looked at his statistics, you
Yep.
probably be saying, "Oh, he's not worth 825 grand or whatever is reported."
Yep.
But if you're in the know and been watching him closely, he's improved every single week for us. The heat on the weekend was ridiculous. But his efforts in defence against the Storm were fantastic. He led the way. His speed at pushing out on the inside to get across really helps the edges make the right decisions. That's very, very important. And last week, him and Burton were interchanging between. So he was sometimes standing at 5'8" and ball playing to Burton, and then they'd swap around. Like there was so much variation there. Kick out's another one that runs a lot of lines, runs a lot of decoys. And that's another thing about the Warriors. They have run like 60 more decoys than any other team in the comp this year. So the effort, it's all about effort from the Warriors at the moment, and that's what the Dogs essentially are trying to build. So it'll be really interesting to see if that sort of keeps up. But and on the other is Jacob Preston has probably outplayed Big Bill, but Bill Kickout brings a lot of confidence to our club. His presence out there opens up space for the people on the outside, and Burton and Kickout, that left-hand side hasn't even clicked yet. They had a really short pre-season. He lost his father in Fiji, so he had a really short pre-season. He wasn't fit, only got 15 minutes in a trial. Once he gets fit, and what I've liked about Serrato, even though it was a stressful and worrying, is that he's left kick out on the field when he's been totally gassed to get the miles on his legs. And I think you're just going to see big kick out and Burton and Alamotti go to a pretty good level pretty soon. Hopefully, it's against the Warriors this week. But the Warriors are doing really well at grinding the game actually. So it'll be interesting to see how much their defence has been top notch. So
yeah, and on that, I think for me that last week's game against the Cowboys in Townsville, I think we really showed just the effort areas especially were great to see, because although as a fan you want to see results, you also want to see effort week in week out, which is the most important thing as a Warriors fan. So just seeing that so far and what Webby's brought to the table, Andrew Webster, he's brought so far has been quite good actually. So were you surprised by the Warriors result last week? Because a lot of people thought the Cowboys were going to go up and win that game, but were you surprised by the way the Warriors played that game?
Look, if you're a tipping man, you're tipping the Cowboys at home. I can't lie about that.
Yeah.
But what I saw against the Newcastle Knights in round one, I saw a different Warriors side. I was very, very impressed. People said the Knights are rubbish and rah. Yeah. The Knights were there to play that game, and the Warriors ground them out. For me, that's all about effort, control. They're not overplaying their hand. Their completion rate's up at 81%. They're making plenty of meters, and then they're waiting for their opportunities. They should have beat the Roosters. I thought they were.
Yep.
I thought they were very unlucky to lose that game. Couple of bad calls, and then obviously wasted a couple of opportunities. And then against the Cowboys, while I wasn't, it was surprising that they beat the Cowboys up there because of the way Cowboys have gone in recent times. It's just been a continued improvement, and Webster's done a magnificent job with the Warriors this year. And I think that time over COVID, that playing group, although it's evolved and changed a bit, they have built up some resilience. And that's always been the question to mark on the Warriors, is their resilience. And it's only round 3, and a lot of people are expecting the wheels to fall off. but I
Yeah.
don't know. They've got a bit more of a steel and a bit more of an edge to them, and you know, I'm going to keep talking them up because I want the Dogs to come out and ambush them.
Yeah, well, I hope not for the Warriors fans' sake. I really hope, that we take that win from last week against the Cowboys and bring it to this week and show that same performance. Because I think the thing is with us is in the past we've had good wins or good results and then followed on with disappointing performances in the following week, which as Warriors fans, it's probably not to get too high and excited over a win, and then because it can sometimes be a little bit of a disappointment, but. Look, even though it's only 3 rounds into the season so far, I think the boys are showing some promise. There's some positive signs. What I saw, I don't generally get hyped over off-season talk, pre-season talk, what coaches say, but what Andrew Webster's been saying in a lot of interviews in the off-season, you can tell that the team's buying into what he's going to bring to the side overall. So, yeah, on that, strengths and weaknesses for both sides. What would you say in regards to the Bulldogs is a strength and a weakness? And as a Warriors fan, for me, I'd probably say our strength is probably I think the 4-pack. I think the 4-pack for sure. I think our bench is pretty good as well. I think when I've looked at the Bulldogs bench compared to the Warriors bench, I think our bench is a lot better. But yeah, what are your thoughts in regards to the strengths and weaknesses for your side and for the Warriors?
I think the strength of our side comes in the variation in attack and the way that the back five are playing. They're not doing things as predictable as they have in the past. So the idea's been the same, but the way that Averillo and Carraz have combined, they've kept Averillo rather fresh. He hasn't been the barge runner. They've used Alamotti, Carraz, Fox for a few runs, and Hayes Perham running a lot of meters as well. He's leading kick return meters. And they're not playing it the same way every set that they're coming out. That's been a strength of us because, it's really it's really saved the team and helped the team wrestle more and wrestle longer in defence. And, in previous couple of years, we just haven't been able to hold out teams for any more than 1 or 2 sets before they'd roll through us and score.
Yeah.
So that's actually turned into a strength for us, the way that they've utilised the back line to march upfield. Our weakness is our size, no doubt. We are probably the smallest team at the moment, and for those guys to play above their weight, and something has to give at some point, and that's where the fatigue comes in. So against those big boppers, and the energy off the bench is going to be that's just a weakness for us at the moment. We're just down on too many troops too early in the middle. So
yeah, well said there. Yeah, so I'll just go through a comment in the live chat. It says from Kurt Chatfield, he's saying the Warriors at home camaraderie is high, confidence growing. Be a tough game for the doggies on the road, I think.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Yeah. Very hard to argue with that.
Yeah, we'll just go through some stats here. So stats are head-to-head stats between these two sides. So the Warriors and the Bulldogs, so they played 37 times, actually, and the Warriors have won 17. The Bulldogs have won 18. There's been 2 draws, and the previous meetings were the Warriors 42-18 over the Bulldogs last year on the 12th of August, and another matchup was the Warriors 24, Bulldogs 10 in 2021. So those are the recent matchups between those sides. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on those stats? Quickly on that. What are your thoughts on that? Because interesting enough, it's been close again in the head-to-head stats between these sides.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where they are on the ladder. These two sides can pull out an upset against each other. In recent times, though, we haven't been able to win over there, and unfortunately, we have a huge doggies fan base in NZ, and a lot of dual supporters actually that have a heart for the Warriors and the Dogs. And hello to all you guys. Thanks for supporting the club and everything. And we've taken a lot of home games over to NZ. Obviously not during COVID, but and it's just been really difficult to win over there any time, no matter where the teams are placed. Last year, I thought the Dogs did well to compete. We were in the game until the 60th minute mark. But we had that. We went up to took a home game to Bundaberg, and then had a 5-day turnaround to New Zealand, but couldn't get on the plane for 36 hours or something. So they didn't even have a training session before that Warriors game, and we were on demand and stuff. So no excuses this time for the Dogs. So even though we've got players out, we should be fit and firing and ready to go.
Yeah, well said there. So just another thing here. So the keys to victory for both sides. So for the Bulldogs, what we say is the key importance for them to get up and get an upset win over the Warriors down there at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland on Sunday afternoon.
The key for us is to be able to get parity in that middle third. If we can match it with the Warriors and keep their roll down, and play patient footy, grind it out, scrap for every metre, and then all the 1%ers, you kick in behind the line, find the grass, kick chase, and build pressure. Now that's the key to victory for us, and it's a pretty basic game plan. But if we can do that against the Warriors, I think we can move them around laterally enough to start to tire their big men out and force a lot of errors out of the Warriors. I think that's the keys to victory, to put a lot of pressure on, on players like Johnson and Martin and their fullback through Burton's kicking game is going to be very imperative. We've got Reid Marnie there as well, who's been kicking really well. But they just got to show more patience than they have the Dogs. If we can do that, build some pressure, hold that middle up, that'll take us a long way to being able to defeat the Warriors.
Yep, so just go through chat before I give my thoughts. So Kurt saying, I'm happy to see the Doggies on a roll. If they win this week, I wouldn't be upset at all. So, my look, I reckon the keys to victory for the Warriors especially is, just the shutting down the likes of Matt Burton's kicking game, because Matt Burton's got a very good kicking game, especially he can put up some very big bombs as well as shutting down Reid Marnie in that hooker spot as well, because that is the key for me. I think if Reid Marnie has a big game, he's going to go a long way to helping you guys get the win as well. So, look, I think overall, I feel very confident heading into this game. The Bulldogs going well, no doubt about it. They've had some good wins, especially last week. But I think there were some concerns near the end, especially for me. I mean, they did sort of let the Tigers back in that game, especially after having such a big lead. But what are your thoughts on that? Just quickly, what are your thoughts on that fact that the Bulldogs they sort of let the Tigers get back in that game towards the back end?
I've talked about this a lot. There's a common trait in the heat that every wasted possession, every repeat set you give away, every bit of impatience you show, every missed tackle, every penalty you give away, it comes back to bite you in the heat. And although there were against Manly, it was also a hot day as well, and hot day for both teams, and against the Storm as well. So the Dogs put so much effort into. If you watch the game against the Tigers, we were pushing up. All our players were pushing up. We had 3 in the tackle, a lot more than they did. Put in so much effort, but then we had a lot of knock-ons. They did as well. We were penalised, I think, 8-3, something like that. So discipline's an issue, and from a true believer like myself, the refs all hate the Bulldogs. I'm sure all fans say the same thing about their side. And the repeat sets, and even though when we were up 20-6 and managing that defensive part well, in that heat, something had to give, and the coach didn't use a fresh player in that. When we were winning 20-6, I just felt bringing a fresh player on in that condition would have been a good move, and it worked for the Tigers. They brought on Wakeham, another ex-Bulldog, and he had a bit of speed out wide where our players were gassed, and they made some breaks, 3 tries in 3 sets, and all of a sudden the Belmore curse had reared its ugly head again. So the heat had a lot to do with it. If you saw the Dragons versus the Broncos, 18 all at the 70th minute mark, the humidity was horrible that night. I couldn't sleep. You would have had it at the Gold Coast as well. So, it was a common trait. The Seagulls versus the Eels, just so many tries at the end of the game. The heat has a lot to do with those issues at the moment. But, it can't be an excuse. Hopefully not at Auckland. Anyway.
No, and especially Auckland, they don't get that much of a heat. I know being living there for 4 years, and obviously living in Australia. So, regards to that, just read some comments actually. So, the close stuff says, how's it going, close stuff? He's saying, you shut down Marnie and Burden by bashing the doggies up front. Yeah, I think 4-pack especially. If the Warriors 4-pack can take it to the Dogs 4-pack, Mahoney doesn't get a lot of service and room. Especially, I think, they'll go a long way as well. Nullifying Matt Burden as well. So, anyway, so now on to the big part of the preview, and that is asking the guests for the prediction. It's probably one of the hardest things to give a prediction around the game. But what is your predictions in regards to this game? Obviously, I think you are going to back your team. Obviously, you're going to back the Bulldogs in there. But how do you see it going? Your prediction on margin and a try score as well, an anytime try score.
All right, so I think the Bulldogs are going to win 22 points to 18.
Yep.
And anytime try scorer will be, I think it'll be Jacob Preston. Just for something different.
Yep, nice prediction there. So, look, I'm obviously going to my team here, the Warriors. I'm going to back the boys in. I'll go Warriors by 12. Warriors by 12 points. So, look, I think it'll be a very competitive game, no doubt about it. I think it'll be close throughout it. But in terms of a try scorer, I'll go Marcelo Montoya against his former side. Okay. So, Montoya to score. And I'll go Viliami Valia as well. And I'll actually go for the Bulldogs as a try scorer. I'll go Josh Adokar and Paul Alamotti as well to score. So that's my predictions there. So I'll go Warriors by 12, and you've got the Bulldogs. What was your margin again?
4 points, 22-18.
22-18. Bulldogs by 4.
Yep.
So I think that pretty much wraps it up for the preview for the Bulldogs game. One New Zealand Warriors taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, played on the Sunday afternoon at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, New Zealand. So any Warriors supporters out there who live in Auckland, get out there and cheer on the boys, and make sure you're loud and proud. And first home game in Auckland this year. So thanks to Mick for coming on the channel tonight. Really do appreciate him giving up his time to come on and preview this game. And go and check out his YouTube channel. It's called All Things Bulldogs. It's right there in the right there on the screen there, and it's in the link is in the description down below. And go subscribe to his channel as well. He's doing some great work there, and another good content creator out there, doing some great things. So thanks, Mick, for coming on.
My pleasure, Christian. Thank you so much for the invite. Really appreciate it, mate, and I'm happy to come on anytime.
No worries. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and watching this live preview. Make sure you do like the live stream as well. Make sure you don't forget to click the thumbs up on the live stream. And if you are watching it back, make sure you give some feedback and comments in the comments down below. But thanks, everyone, for watching, tuning in tonight. Have a good rest of the week, and bring on Sunday, and go the Warriors. Cheers, everyone.
Go the doggies.